Okay, guys, so let's start over chapter number 5. Chapter 5 is about network infrastructure, and mainly we will discuss some network communication devices. We'll also discuss network security infrastructure, and I'll give you a basic overview of network topologies like physical and logical network connection topologies. So let's start with our first agenda item, network communication devices. So there are plenty of network communication devices, or the devices that we use over the network, starting with the end devices. And end devices are basically individual's computer. For example, it could be your personal computer, like your personal computer. It could be your cell phone, laptop, any like it's basically the individual computer. So individual computers are basically called end devices. So end devices are connected to network through intermediary devices. So these end devices like cell phone and computers, personal computers, they are connected to the network through intermediary devices. Now, what are these intermediary devices? Intermediary devices are basically, the examples are routers, switches, and firewalls. So these devices are called intermediary devices. And if we want to define what is intermediary devices connect end devices of one network with each other and with devices or with end devices of another network and other network as well. So like, as you know, routers, what they do. So routers, let's say this is a router can connect one network with another network. So let's say this is your network number one. Network number one can be connected with other network through the router, and another intermediary device is basically a switch which connect the devices within the local area network. So let's discuss routers, switches, and firewall in detail. What are the roles? What exactly they do over the network, and what are their roles in the network? So let's start with the router. So router, if you can see, that's the location of a router. It's also called gateway, which connect two networks, in fact. So router, what it does? So when a packet arrives to the router, then router de-encapsulate, because when the router receives a packet, it is encapsulated packet. So when the packet gets to the router de-encapsulate the packet, like open the packet and see what's the destination. So what router does? Router encapsulates and de-encapsulates. So it's de-encapsulates packets. So after, like, again, let me repeat. When a packet gets to the router opens the packet and and find the IP address of the destination. And then router uses routing table to find the optimal way or the optimal path for the packet to be to get to that particular network or to that device. So it encapsulates the packet and de-encapsulates the packet. Other than that, router uses the routing table to find optimal, or you can say best path for the packet to be transmitted. So basically, it opens the packet, see what's the IP address, use the routing table, find the best path for the packet to be transmitted, and then forward the packet to that destination. Next is the switch or hubs. These are other devices, network communication devices that we use for local area network communication. Hubs are basically a broadcasting device. A broadcasting device, some people they call hub as a repeater. So hub is a broadcast device, or you can call hub is a repeater. And what exactly hub does? It receives a signal on one port and forward that signal to all connected ports. So it's kind of a stupid device. It receives packet and just broadcast the packet to all devices, something like that. So that's your hub. If hub receive a packet on this particular port, it will forward the packet to all other particular ports, and there might be other devices connected with that port. And there's a chance the packet is only for this particular port or that particular device. Then we have a switch. So switch is kind of intelligent device because switch knows the MAC address of all connected devices. So within switch, so let's say that's your switch. So switch has basically what we call address table. It has the address table, and it uses the MAC addresses. So basically in switch, we have an address table where we have MAC addresses of all connected devices. So when switch, let's say this is if it would be a switch, again, just like the hub, all the devices are connected with through certain ports. So when a packet arrives, when a switch receives a packet on one port, then it verifies the address table, see for which particular device the packet should be transmitted, and then the packet will be transmitted to that particular device. So I repeat, switch knows the MAC addresses of all devices. Let's say this is the device, and that's another device. So let's say these 4 devices are connected with switch. Switch knows the MAC addresses of all these devices. How? All these MAC addresses are stored in the address table. When a packet arrives for a specific computer, switch will refer to the address table, find the MAC address, and then forward the packet to that particular computer. So switch, what it does, switch basically uses source and destination MAC addresses to build address table and forward the packets to the concerned node. So that's what the switch is. Then we have firewall. This is the third intermediate device, firewall. Firewall, technically speaking, firewall it's basically it controls the traffic flow. Like we define certain rules, and then it controls the traffic. It controls the traffic according to the defined rule. So firewall, what it does, it inspects all incoming and outgoing traffic, and then allows or blocks packets on the basis of the rules. What it does, it is also responsible for enforcing access control policies between the network. So that's basically what a firewall is, and it's again outside the, and sometime firewall could be a part of your router. So it is embedded within the router. It could be a separate device, it could be a software, it could be a hardware as well. All what we have in the firewall, just the set of policies. So we define the policies, it checks the packet and see whether the policy, if any of the policy gets violated, the packet will be dropped. So that's basically what a firewall does. Then we use wireless local area networks. For wireless local area network, we use access points. That's again a network communication device. So wireless local area network, WLAN, wireless local area network. So what it does in wireless local area network, or you can say Wi-Fi, or the protocol is basically IEEE 802.11, and there are few variants like A, B, C, and all the way to E, with difference of the channel settings like the bands and the security protocol as well. It basically uses radio frequency. It uses radio frequencies to transmit internet signals. Okay, and there are two type of channel settings. Like there are two bands mainly because most of the Wi-Fi routers are dual band routers. So the channel setting, or you can say frequency bands. There are two type of band, two frequencies over which we can transmit the signal. One is 2 gigahertz. It's exactly 2.4 gigahertz. And the second band is 5 gigahertz. So depending upon which band is free, which band is less populated, we transmit the signal over that particular frequency. So that's it about some network communication devices. So let's move to network security infrastructure. The first device, so the second agenda item, network security infrastructure. Firewall, we already talked about it. It's basically, it could be a hardware, it could be a software, it could be a part of your router, which inspects the traffic and allows or blocks the packets on the basis of the rules. Then intrusion detection system, IDS, intrusion detection system. So intrusion detection system, like what exactly they do? They again, just like firewall, they inspect the traffic, they inspect all the incoming packets, and then use signatures to detect different anomalies. If they detect anomaly, they will create a beep, or maybe they will detect the intrusion. Like they will say, hey, unusual packet has entered in the network, and then IPS will intervene. So intrusion detection system, it mainly uses signature. It may use signatures to detect patterns in network traffic. And if detects unusual traffic or signature, it will generate an alert. It will generate alert. And when it generates alert, then over next, you can say device, it intervene, and that is called IPS, intrusion prevention system. It is intrusion prevention system. So these intrusion prevention systems are basically anti-malware, antiviruses, all these kind of devices are basically comes under IPS. For network security, we use another filtering tool which is called access control list. So access control list is basically a packet filtering tool. It's basically a packet filtering tool which controls the access of a device. So for example, let me give you idea about, because we can customize access control list. For example, let's say this is over a resource. Let's say we are protecting, we need to ensure security of this particular device. So we are protecting this device by using a list on a server, which is called access control list. And we have the legitimate MAC addresses, like the people who can access this particular resource. So let's say AAA, BBB, CCC. These are basically only the 3 computers who can access this resource. So for example, we have employee, and let's say he or she uses his or her own computer. For example, the MAC address is DDD. And now they are putting the right combination of username and password, but still they cannot access the resource because access control list want them to log in through the company provided computer, or maybe the computer having these MAC addresses. So that is basically called access control list. Okay. Of course, there like access control list is basically, it can be tricked. Like there are plenty of tools, like one of the tool is SMAC, through which the hackers, they can substitute the MAC address. We will discuss that in our later on labs as well. SNMP is a simple network management tool. Simple network management protocol, which is basically a part of your TCP/IP suite, and it does come as an individual software as well. And through SNMP, people, what they can do is it allows administrators to monitor and manage network devices. So you can see which device is connected, how much bandwidth they're consuming, and stuff like that by using SNMP. Then we have syslog. Syslog stands for system log server. So what they can do, these servers, like they are basically the server in the network, and what they do is they collect the logs of you can say the sign in and sign out information. Okay, and in the syslog, what we can do is we can actually select the type of info that can be captured. For example, we can actually put, for example, if anybody access, let's say, a critical resource, then we can maintain a log, what exactly they did and how much time did they spend, stuff like that. So we can actually choose the type of info that will be captured in the syslog. Other than that, we can also specify the destination of captured syslog messages. Like we can see, we can actually specify whether it's going to be stored on the main database, or maybe the security administrator can only have access to that. The next is the NTP, which is called Network Time Protocol. Network Time Protocol. And Network Time Protocol, what it does, it basically provides synchronization. It basically synchronizes the time across all devices on network. So a bad synchronization, what it can do? A bad synchronization, let's say you're sending a packet on, let's say, one time frame in a time domain, for example. So if the other device on the network, if it is not, I mean, these devices they don't have, let's say, the proper time synchronization, there might be some delay in the communication. So there are plenty of other problems that can occur because of the NTP. So NTP is a very important protocol which synchronizes all the protocols. So all the protocols, they are connected with the same atomic clock, or you can say their clocks of all connected machines are synchronized. Then we have AAA server. So what is AAA? This is AAA is for authentication, authorization, and accounting. So we actually use specific servers to perform AAA. Authentication, as you know, like verify the credentials, verify the user whether he or she is the same who he or she claims to be, not an imposter. Authorization is after successful authentication, how much you can access. Accounting is after giving you access, system makes a log of your activities. That is accounting. So AAA server, there are plenty of AAA server. One is Radius. Second is TAC ACS Plus. Then we have Kerberos. We have SAML. There are plenty of other types as well of the AAA server through which we can verify, we can actually ensure authentication, authorization, and the accounting as well. Radius stands for remote. It's the remote access dial-in user service. It was invented back in 1990s, and because it can handle enormous amount of traffic, so it became the telecom industry standard back in 1990s. We still use that in our local area network, but the Radius, what it does, it only encrypts the passwords, and the rest of the communication is unencrypted. While TACAS Plus, it's the total access control system plus, advanced form for TACACS, and it uses Unix It runs on Unix devices, and it is fully encrypted kind of the communication, encrypts the all communication, like including username, password, whatever the packet you will transmit to the server, everything will be encrypted. Kerberos is basically a ticket-based. We will discuss Kerberos in detail in our cryptography chapter. It is basically ticket-based. After basic authentication, user will be issued a ticket, and then user can show the ticket and access any device. Same is the case with SNL. We will discuss that in detail. The last agenda item is the network representation. For physical connection, there are two types of network connectivity. One is the physical connectivity, and second is logical network connectivity. Physical connections are basically using hard wires, while the logical connections are basically based on the, you can say, how, I mean, it defines how the network transfers from one network, one node to another. For the physical, we have, as you know, we have different connectivity models: star network, bus model, ring topology, mesh topology. These are different topologies for network connectivity. Star network topology is basically where we have a central component, which could be a switch or it could be a hub, and the nodes are basically connected with the central device. So we have a central device in place right here, and devices are connected with the central device. Bus is basically, we have a central bus. All the devices are connected with each other through that particular bus. Like these are computers. Ring topology, just like bus, we have connected the devices through, you know, some kind of ring. All these devices are connected with each other through a ring. Mesh is basically the modified form of a ring, where we have just like a ring here, but devices have the, rather than having a single connectivity, like in order to make it more reliable, we actually introduce the diverse connection. Like if one of the path gets failed, so devices, they might have the few other ways to connect with each other and all that stuff. Star topology is the most widely used topology in our local area network, where we connect all Ethernet cables to a central device. And that central device, as I mentioned, it could be a switch, it could be a hub. Other than that, it's also known as the, we also call it hub and spoke topology. Okay. So that's it about chapter number 5. What we have discussed, mainly we discussed 3 things: network communication devices. We discussed all network communication devices. Then we talked about network security infrastructure, firewall, IDS, access control list, NTP, and other protocols have been discussed. And lastly, I have discussed the 2 types of network connectivity connections, physical and the logical connection. And we discussed star, bus, and other topologies in the physical network connection. So that's it for today. If anybody has any question, please do let me know.